Psalm 23 verse 5 says these words, "You spread out a table before me, provisions in the midst of attack from my enemies. You care for all my needs, anointing my head with soothing fragrant oil, filling my cup again and again with your grace." Have you ever felt like giving up, like running away, like pulling the duvet up on those days when it seemed like the enemy has got an all-out attack on you? When God seems distant, when you're in the middle of stuff happening, have you ever thought of just giving up? Well, if you have, let me tell you, you are not alone. Anyone who has followed Christ for any length of the time, including all of the people in the Bible, at some point felt like giving up. But have you ever noticed how God doesn't pull you out of circumstances, but he does promise to go through them with you? And I love this thought that in the middle of life's circumstances, God sets a table before us in the presence of our enemies. He doesn't take us away and shield us from our enemy all the time, but what he does is in the middle of life going on, he sets a table for us. You know, you would normally look at celebration or provision to be the end of a situation, but God gives it us bang smack in the middle of the stuff we are going through. The power is not in the outcome of a situation, but in the process of working it through and seeing God do amazing things. So what does God lay for us on this table that he has for us in the presence and in the middle of life happening? The first thing is this, that when your enemy brings anxiety, God sets peace at the table. Today, if you are anxiety-ridden, there is a peace for you in God that you cannot get any other way. In fact, the New Testament describes it like this, a peace that passes all human understanding. God sets it at the table for you today. In the middle of your anxiety, he doesn't always take us out, but he prepares a table for us and provides for us in the middle of those feelings. And so if you're feeling like that today, why not pull up a chair to the table and allow the peace of God to come and settle in your heart and in your spirit. You see, we don't have to wait until circumstances change. We can tuck into peace while things are still ongoing. The second thing is this, that when the enemy brings grief, God sets hope at our table. He sets hope in the middle of our grief. And grief, I don't know if you have ever experienced it. In 2021, we went through 2 months where my father-in-law died and then my father passed away. We experienced grief, but in the middle of that time, we experienced the hope of God, the hope of eternity, and the hope of everything that God can do because of the legacy that those two men left in our lives. Today, God, in the middle of your grief, can set hope at your table. When the enemy brings you chaos, God brings you calm. He sets calm at the table that he has for you. In the middle of the situation, in the midst of your enemy, he brings calm. Can you imagine what Jesus' final week was like? In the middle of that week, Jesus set a table for his disciples and he sat with them and he took communion with them. And I love the verse in this bit of the story of Jesus that says John reclined with him at the table. He rested on him and he leaned on him. Jesus set the table that in the middle of the chaos, there was going to be a moment of calm. And then lastly, when your enemy brings fear, God sets confidence for you at the table. The book of Timothy tells us that God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but of love, of power, and of a sound mind. And we can choose to pull up a chair in the midst of the circumstances of life. We can choose to pull up a chair and experience God's confidence in the middle of situations happening. Wherever you are today, whatever is going on in your life, there is a meal where we can linger in the presence of God and realize the things that he sets before us are more powerful than the things that we might be going through. So today, why not pull up a chair?